Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here. We got a little doozy for you today. What's your funniest DungeonMaster.exe has crashed moment? Part 2. I was DMing a Pathfinder game with my girlfriend and one of my sisters. I was using a modified Burning Goblins module to start the campaign. They reach the Goblin tribe, find 3 guards playing the Fire Puff game. Throw rock in fire, biggest puff wins. So my girlfriend asks if she can roll diplomacy to persuade the goblins to let her join the game. Now, because I'm an absolute idiot, I basically let anything go, as long as you can argue your case and pass a check. I may make that check absurdly high, but not completely impossible. Well, with persuasion, it's a counter roll based on sense motive. And I wasn't doing very great. So the goblins let her play, and she keeps picking up rocks and tossing them into various fires. She said she wasn't trying to make a big puff and asked if that meant she didn't need to roll dex. I let it go and just casually let her hit, with the condition that they were all fairly small puffs. She agrees and gets the goblins to trust her. Then she pulls out her necklace. So my second mistake was letting them take one magic item of 3,000 or less at the start of the game. It was mostly because my sister was fairly new, and if they got in a pinch, I wanted them to have something useful to help them get out of it. My sister chose a magic sword with frost and tied it into her backstory because she was playing a white kobold. My girlfriend, the shit, grabbed the level 2 necklace of fireball, sounds like my girlfriend, and I didn't question it because I trusted her to use it responsibly. That was my third mistake. Never trust your girlfriend with fire. So she asked to roll bluff. I do terrible again and she says, "Well, it's just that all these big rocks are terrible. The little ones are better." Then rolls sleight of hand. I absolutely fail at goblin perception, and she sneaks one of her 2d6 beads in to make a big boom. Goblins are impressed. She rolls diplomacy, convincing the goblins that the entire tribe should come see. I fail perception for the entire tribe, and she eventually gets the chief to come out. She makes a deal. If she can make a bigger puff than the chief tells her everything she wants to know. He agrees, tries, and then her turn rolls around. She rolls diplomacy to tell him to step away from the fire as she throws the rest of her beads in. 6d6 plus 2, 4d6 plus 2d6 equals 16d6, and fails for the first time, and the chief gets caught in the blast. I roll reflex, he fails. I roll damage, get damn near max, and just dial tone. Oh no, did he die? Oh, he totally died. I gave up. You have killed the chief. The tribe, 25-ish goblins, turn on you and... I want to roll diplomacy. You want to... what for what? She's a paladin with a starting charisma of 20 and maxed rank her diplomacy. Her diplomacy at level 1 was plus 9. Not that it mattered, because she rolls a f***ing nat 20. What do you say? I want to suggest that maybe the gods have brought them a blessing. Their chief lost and died of his own incompetence. Perhaps they need a new chief. Better chief. She gestures to my girlfriend. Chief, big boom. We had to stop there for the night, and we didn't play again for another 3 months. Joined a game, and me and the other players were having a conversation. We weren't even talking about politics, but someone just said the word politics. My gag reflex kicked in. The DM, not liking that concept, went on a 10-minute rant about how much he hated politics. Mind you, no one was arguing with him or even talking about politics to begin with. He begins to freak the f*** out, all on his own, screaming how communism and socialism is not a bad thing, and getting himself heated. We're all sitting there in shock, watching this guy freak out. Good times. Glad it happened too. The campaign I joined after that was 100 times better. We ran a 5 to 20 campaign over the course of about a year. We get to the final fight, and due to some magical shenanigans, he's a level 20 in every class with mimics of all of our items. Ideally, a never-ending pool or hit points who can destroy us easily. DM doesn't give him any legendary resistances. I sing my song, Bard, and my friend, also Bard, cast Feeble Mind on him. on our first turn. He is far down the initiative due to some power gaming. Big Bad Evil Guy rolls in 1 and cannot use any magical powers and practically becomes a wild animal that hits like a truck due to his 40 martial levels. After an hour of hammering him with spells, swords, and the like, DM illustrates him dying like a confused animal. We ruined a lot of boss fights, but he kept going with it. TLDR turned the Big Bad Evil Guy with every class level 20 into a brain-dead animal and beat him to death. Fun times! One of my players tried to cast Speak with Animals on the boss monster. My brain died so hard. I never expected that one. The monster ended up being too aggressive to be reasoned with. My players also kept saying things like, "I speak to the NPC wearing the most red." One of my friends also played a Negrol god that occasionally commented about, you can guess what, and nothing else. That whole 2-shot hurt my head so much. We were playing Dragon Heist. Drow gunslingers run to the docks to jump on Dragon Turtle's submarine and get away. The sub attacks us with a steam breath weapon. The drow opens the hatch, but we kill them before they can get in. So we get in and find 2 gnomes. "The gnomes are being paid to salvage this unique sub from the bottom of the bay." "So they're salvaging it right now?" "Yes." "How did the drow know it would be salvaged in time?" "Never mind the plot holes, they attacked us. You can give us the salvage rights, or you can die." "Whoa, we can do that?" DM takes a week to search the module. Next session. "Wizards of the Coast didn't think of that, so yes?" "Give me an intimidation check." 19. "The gnome is surprisingly unfazed by your empty threats. I attacked the gunner and used my last smite on him, then turned back to the pilot. I can kill you too, but slowly." Intimidation with advantage. 19 plus 5, so 24. "The gnome wets himself and gives up." "So now we have a submarine?" "Yes." "What are we going to do with it?" "We'll figure it out later, but for now, we stake our claim." The party later talks the dragon down and claims the dragons and donates them to Waterdeep, claiming the finder's fee. "Since we have all the faction leaders here, I announce that we will be auctioning the sub to the leaders of the faction in a 10-day. DM takes another week. "All the factions are present for the auction. The first bid is for 15,000 gold. We each talk to our factions to keep them bidding, and all make persuasion checks with varied success." Can I use persuasion or performance to goad the bidders as the auctioneer?" Sure. Take your pick." Nat 20. DM rolls whiz saves for factions, rolls initiative for the same, rolls for random amounts to add the bids. "The Lords of Waterdeep pay you the max value of an apparatus of Qualish." TLDR, party claimed Dragon Turtle submarine and double our take for the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I've had a few of these in my 25 plus years of DMing, but 2 of my favorites. In one of my AD&D 2nd edition games, one of the players had his soul sucked out and trapped into a gem held by a wizard who was trying to become a lich. I simply called him a half-lich for simplicity, as he had some minor lich abilities but wasn't fully transformed, during a climactic battle on a high rooftop. I think 6 stories up at least, though it's been a long time. After the wizard was destroyed, the party's fighter called out asking for the gem. The party member who had the gem, not knowing what he planned to do, tossed it over to him, wherein the fighter immediately tossed the gem over the side of the roof, genuinely thinking that destroying the gem would return the soul to the body. I was dumbfounded. And later, one of the other players said that he knew that was a bad move the moment he saw my expression. I ended up just telling the player of the trapped soul to make a new character. In a one-shot 3.5 Ravenloft game with far too many players, technically 16, but only 12 actively participated, the party generally split into little groups. One of the groups consisted of an evil Thri-Kreen swordsmaster, with a signature maneuver of only ever drawing all 4 scimitars when he intended to kill, and an evil human duelist. One of the other players played a particularly naive black powder gunner who was under the protection of 2 paladins, both separate players, and after some close calls involving said firearms and the noise they made, he approached the evil duelist and asked to train him in using the sword. The duelist and the Thri-Kreen had earlier devised a plan on getting rid of the naive character, of which I was unaware, and the training helped facilitate it. The duelist told the gunner that he wouldn't hold back during their training, because most foes wouldn't be. So he dealt lethal damage throughout their sparring match. Meanwhile, the Thri-Kreen player, in a low voice, simply said that he was standing behind the gunner, and when the duelist player nodded to him, a subtle cue I noticed, the Thri-Kreen drew all 4 scimitars. I immediately understood the significance and could only watch with my jaw on the floor as the naive player continued sparring with the duelist, unaware of the Thri-Kreen rolling all of his attacks and tallying up the damage, which he then simply stated as a number. No mention of damage. I had to narrate how the gunner was effectively eviscerated, and it began a massive in-party battle between the 2 paladins and the duelist/Thri-Kreen groups, with others either taking sides or just completely backing out. I think only 2 characters didn't get involved. The one-shot pretty much ended with the party breaking up, one of the paladins feeling like he failed his task and roleplayed that he would only go up fighter levels, and the overall feeling that Ravenloft has once again claimed more victims. Last night, we stumbled into the rejects part of a golem factory. The running gag is that the sand golem art looks very depressed. One entered the fight with half speed already applied. The GM was not amused when we just kept walking backwards, casting Ray of Frost and vicious mockery, essentially bullying a sad pile of sand that just wants a hug. That just broke my heart. In the campaign I'm running right now, one of the players is playing a turtle monk modeled after Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. Fairly simple. Eventually, he asked to buy a component pouch. I think, maybe he's planning to multi-class, and I grant him the comp pouch with no resistance. When magic items start going around, he asked for a portable hole. Again, I didn't think much of it, and I grant him it. Then, he broke me. Context: the comp pouch can create any material components that don't have a monetary value attached to them. Portable hole makes a 6-foot wide, 10-foot deep hole. This man pulled out his comp pouch, put down the hole, and started to fill the hole with teeth. He has now taken to frisbeeing it under enemies, sending them to what he likes to call the teeth dimension. First time he did this, I was silent for a minute thinking, what? Is this my fault? Was I supposed to predict this happening? Brian Von VA here, checking in after the stories and reminding you that the Tooth Fairy is most definitely not real, but also not involved in that last story we had. Anyway, if you like today's vid, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can be notified whenever we post or go live. To get your story read in a video or on stream, make sure to check out our subreddit r/MrRipper and leave us a post there or in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitch and Twitter. Using a help action, be sure to stop by my YouTube as well, Brian Von VA, where I stream games and make voice acting videos. For today's bit of positivity, I just wanted to say something really important. I'm proud of all of you. Simple as that. I'm proud of you for going through with university, for pushing through your job, for dealing with this pandemic and still maintaining life and a smile throughout. I'm proud of you for essentially not giving up. I'm glad you're all still here, not just with us on the video, but alive as well. All the love, everyone. Please be safe out there. We will see you next time.